catch your chance. And this is a really awkward moment because I have to introduce myself for the next panel. And my name is Anastasia Drinevskaya. You probably know me from Cointelegraph. Long story short, please, my amazing speakers, go to the stage. We will talk about the future of media. So we will make a quick introduction, so we will have more time for questions and discussions. So let's start one by one. Please introduce yourself.
Me? All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Charlie Cavalier. I am president of Javits. We're going to be talking about the future of media today, and I'm just really happy they gave us the big room so we could come talk to everybody.
My name's Matt Medved, co-founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief of NFT Now. We're an award-winning digital media platform building the future of tokenized media, and we're on a mission to empower the creators of culture and bring this technology from niche to mainstream.
Hello, my name is Rembrandt Flores. I am the founder of 8 Commas. We're an amplification consultancy, helping Web3 companies get bigger.
Hello, thanks for being here. My name is Jan. I'm the founder of Movie Shots, and we enable film lovers and film enthusiasts to own a part of a film as a collectible, and our first 2 films is Run Lola Run and Laurel and Hardy, so film collectibles, digital.
So, and first of all, we are on the edge right now. We are switching from Web 2 from Web 3. So, Charlie, how you're making the shift from Web 2 to Web 3 experience?
I think, first of all, just don't make it too complicated, right? Like, it really bugs me when we try to make it way more complicated than it needs to be, right? We are integrating Web 3.
If it's easy, just tell us.
Well, yeah, so I think it's Web 2.5, right? We're not at Web 3.0. So, like, for us, we make a lot of video games. We make play-to-earn video games. We have our own cryptocurrency. You're playing video games the same way you'd hop into Call of Duty, Valorant, or anything else. The only difference is now you can resell your skins, pull the money out of the game, get value back to the holders. Making it more complicated than that is really unnecessary.
Wow, okay, I got your point. So, Matt, what you are thinking about this shift from Web 2 to Web 3?
Well, yeah, coming from the legacy media world, I was at Billboard, I was at Spin for many years, and I saw just firsthand how the Web 2 media model's broken. That's why we launched the Now Pass, which is the access pass for the Now network, which is the foundation we're building for the future of tokenized media. And so, like, in Web 2, we saw that media companies actually lost a lot of trust because people were kind of stuck with misaligned incentives created by programmatic ads. They got locked into a clickbait race to the bottom where everybody was making content to game the same algorithms, and they were thinking more about their advertisers and they were thinking about their audiences. And then finally, these like violations of privacy that we saw. One of the things that was really important for us when we started NFT Now, even from the very beginning, if you go to NFTnow.com, you'll see there are no programmatic advertisements. We're not trying to monetize your eyeballs like that. And there's no pixels or cookies. We believe that privacy is a fundamental human right. We don't track our users. And for us, what we're doing with the Now Pass and now the Now Network is building that future of tokenized media, which I think is really important as we think about bringing people from Web 2 to Web 3. And tokenized media can be both tokenization of the media itself. If you think about the power of provenance in an era where you can whip up a photo that could that could go viral on Midjourney in a minute, and nobody knows whether it's true or not. Think about the photos of Donald Trump getting arrested that spread all over the internet and fooled a lot of people. Like the on-chain provenance of that coming from a trusted and reputable media outlet would have prevented that. People could have seen where did those photos actually come from. Then finally, what I think is really exciting is actually the tokenization around communities for media brands, and that's what we're really leaning into. If you think about it, Web 2 is all about building audience as a middleman for brands, to monetize indirectly, but Web 3 is all about building community so that you can directly monetize by building value for your community and then sharing in that value. So we're looking to pioneer that community-centric media model, and that's what we're doubling down on as we think about how media changes from Web 2 to Web 3.
It was really an NFT hip-hop right now. Thank you so much. So what about you? How you are making the shift from Web 2 to Web 3?
I don't know about making the shift, but our main goal at the company is obviously to expand the audience for our Web3 companies, right? Because Web3 is not going to survive in the companies in the space if we don't bring Web2 in it, right? So whether that we call that mainstream, whether that we call that the cultural zeitgeist, we need them here. And so how do we do that? We are the 0.0001% that are in this conference right now. So how do we bring everyone else in? I've tried to do that. Everyone at the company's tried to do that for the past, let's say, 15 months. And I think we succeeded to a point in the very beginning, But unfortunately, 2022 happened to us, right? So I think now a lot of us are starting from scratch, and we're like slowly coaxing people back in. And how do we do that? So I think we need to speak their language versus trying to force our language onto them.
Well, educate them.
What?
Educate them. Education.
Yes, that's what I mean. So, but we have to speak their language, not us talking about GM and all our other acronyms that we have and having them learn it. But let's take what they're accustomed and what they're used to and try to bring them on board. And that's what we're doing. And I think some of the things that we're trying to do is do more IRL events, IRL technology that's a little bit more that they're accustomed to, right? And I think that, for example, this weekend, I'm leaving tomorrow morning because I have to go to Coachella. We're trying to get Web3 into Coachella. You know, a brand that you might know that maybe not exists right now at the moment is called FTX. Obviously, they did something at Coachella really big last year.
Well, maybe Justin Bieber is ready,
Right?
so he's in
And,
NFT space.
some people saw it as a success, some people thought it was a failure. And I was kind of in the middle because I think the people, again, endemic to our space, thought it was amazing. But everyone else that didn't know what FTX was or Web3 was like, we don't know what the hell that is. And we don't know what it means to have this sort of token-gated access to this art that we're gonna get for going to Coachella and using their app or whatever, right? So that to us is sort of still where I stand with a lot of clients. It's like, let's try to bridge that gap that we still haven't done yet. And we have to start now, right? I think we're still a long ways to go, but we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I also think that gap is really huge right now. Like the technology is not so accessible as we are talking on a daily basis in social media and media in general. So what is your opinion?
So there were great answers. There's not a lot to add. Maybe like two
Next
things.
time I will ask you first. So
Okay.
Charlie will have nothing to.
like especially like in the film industry, two cases. One is obviously film financing by making the audience part of the culture, owning the culture, and the other one is cultural ownership, because the fans who love something, they contribute to building that culture, and Web3 can now make them owners and also the benefit from building that culture. So I think that will change the world in a big way.
And speaking about changes, it's hard not to ask about the money issue, about advertising in media. Like, would it be right now, all the whales with money, they can just come, buy all the stuff and create this buzz around their companies and personal brand. How to avoid this in the future so we will be sure that the quality of speakers, the content, the companies will be okay, that people will understand that they can be sure I can invest in this. My money will be safe. So how do you see advertisement in new era of media? I will start with you as promised.
I'm not sure if I'm the best person to speak on marketing because that's a weak point of us, to be honest. But we
here
try
we
to.
go. I'm sorry.
Huh? We try to make our fans into ambassadors, basically, and then multiply it that way. So basically focus on the core 10% of your community that really love your product and your NFTs, and we really focus on them, giving them the tools to accelerate.
Okay, Charlie.
Or ping pong. Okay, so as far as advertising is concerned, we always get a lot of pressure to put ads in our video games. I want nothing to do with paid advertising. I want nothing to do with buying and selling your eyeballs to other people, right? Like, we are all tired of when did they add Facebook ads and stuff like that, right? Like, the best way to ruin something is to put ads in it. And to kind of touch on how you're going to monetize all that stuff, how you're going to sell advertising by producing a good product. And like, Matt can talk about this a lot better than I can. They have brought a Web2 media company with Web3 tools, and I think that's what we kind of missed on in answering the last question is instead of trying to get all these Web2 companies to say, catch up, do what we're doing, we need to turn around, go back to them, bring them the tools that we already have, and then show them how to do it. Us pretending like whatever multi-billion-dollar industry we are right now is going to tell the trillion-dollar industry to catch up with us is a fucking joke, right? Like, if anybody thinks that you're going to go convince Sony to do it your way and not the way that's turned them into whatever company they already are is mind-boggling to me. But the best thing you can do for somebody like that, or any major company, take the tools and the resources you do have, whether it's for advertising, attention economy, getting eyeballs, all that stuff, bring it to those big companies and help them build what they already have instead of trying to convince them that they need to reinvent the wheel.
So this is a place where revolution begins. No advertisement, nothing. So Matt, I think your support Charlie, right?
Yeah, look, I think you make some really great points, and I'm fully in agreement. We need to meet the market where it is. We need to be extending that welcoming hand. We're having some amazing conversations actually right now with legacy publishers who are really interested in what we're doing in terms of.
As user, I agree, but
Yeah.
as media.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we believe that media companies shouldn't be serving you advertisements, they should be serving you opportunities. And that's been really like the crux of what we're building with the Now Network, is we recognize that like from 2 years of building NFT Now, building amazing relationships with artists in the space, builders in the space, different projects and the like, we can do all sorts of really cool collaborations. We can do all sorts of really cool initiatives. We can leverage these opportunities for to super serve our core community and offer them these opportunities. And what's been amazing is like, we're an open book. You know, NFT Now, since we started in January 2021, we've done $5.2 million in top line revenue without one single programmatic ad. So it's possible to be a successful media business without catering to the broken Web 2 media model, which prioritizes, as I said, advertisers over audience and over community. And the sad thing is like as we go to these legacy publishers, the most important thing is understanding that many of these legacy publishers have become addicted to that traffic that they've gotten from the social media platforms. That's why, for example, you know, most people in a media context are not loyal to any brands these days. They're loyal to the headline because the brands are pretty interchangeable. And that's a sad state of affairs. Remember that the whole like vision behind like the importance of media was about bringing in discourse together, being the town hall, the town square for the space, bringing the marketplace of ideas, having a lot of different perspectives, not fitting coverage to whatever is going to get the most clicks, whatever is going to get highest on Google, whatever is going to cause a shitstorm on Twitter. Like that's the kind of decisions that are driving so much of the coverage, and that actually has a significant effect not just on the media industry but on our relationships as a whole, because what it encourages is like in this clickbait race to the bottom, shorter term thinking, less nuance, less depth. We saw this in the coverage of NFTs during the bull run. We saw how many like mainstream media outlets totally got it wrong, didn't understand how this technology works, was like minting an NFT is like burning this many hectares of forest, which is completely untrue if you actually understand how Ethereum works, even before the merge. And like we saw that. Do you know why they did that? Because it gets clicks, because it generates outrage. And that has been driving the narrative and the discourse for far too long, and there's a lot at stake here. So when I talk about like the Web 2 being broken, I'm not talking about the hardworking journalists who show up every day. I'm talking about the broken business model that they're trapped inside, and what we're doing to really change that, doubling down on community, making sure that we're thinking about how we serve that community rather than what's going to get the most clicks in an algorithm.
If one day you will decide to go to president elections, I will vote for you, Matt. And Rembrandt,
I
what
have
about
nothing
you?
to add. I mean, Matt said it all.
Yeah, it's even hard to ask a questions after I feel
to be
you.
fair to me, like we at our company don't tend to touch advertising, thank God. So we go to Matt for those needs. But you know, we do the other stuff. So it's the marketing, the events, the partnerships, the traditional PR rather. So I think, yeah, I don't want to add any more because I think it was very well said.
Let's stay as
Very
it
well
is.
said.
Okay, and we are talking about community a lot, about serving the community. How in your companies, guys, you are planning to do this? Are you planning to use NFTs for to help users to create a content, to reward them, and which problems do you see in this, or what benefits do you see in this? So, well, Matt will be the last one. Rembrandt, please, could you start?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So again, I talked about it a little bit earlier about real-world utility. I'll give you a real-world situation. So Charlize Theron has a charity called CTAOP, and Ashley George is their executive director. And she came to us like, how do we make this work? How do we enter this space? How do we make this technology work for us? And they wanted something very light lift. They came to us literally just a month ago, and we're like, hey, why don't we create a digital pass? I don't want to call it an NFT because NFTs have a negative connotation at the moment. So we're like, why don't we call it a digital pass? And the people who buy this digital pass get specific access to something before this gala that they're doing at the end of May, right? So it's for Fast and the Furious 10. It's going to be at Universal Studios lot. And what's great about this is that they have all the elements there. Now we just need to bring the people who may want to buy this pass and expose this to this event, right? So it's Charlize Theron, it's Vin Diesel, it's The Rock. Who the hell would not want to be involved in this and want to go to this event, and where you get to have a one-on-one time with these A-listers, right? So and the movie, by the way, is going to be the biggest one of all time, I think, of all of the franchise. But so that's what we're trying to figure out, something that they can understand, right? So Joe Schmo, Jill Schmo out there can say like, oh, if I buy this digital pass, I will have access to these people at a specific time on a specific day, and I also get to help raise money for this charity. I think everyone here gets it, and I think the people who are not here will get it. And that's what I've been trying to say from the very beginning, is that we need them who are not here, who are literally in New York right now at Zero Bond or wherever else they're hanging out, at Balthazar or whatever, and saying like, oh, I get what Rembrandt's saying. I'll buy it. I get to help, and I get to understand Web3 a little bit, and I get something out of it that they want. And that, to me, is what we're trying to strive to do.
That's really great. So yeah, it was correct. Move, Lightning.
That's a good point, to connecting the fans to the A-list actors and the exclusivity, and that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, you should change your language, especially in times now. Don't say mint, don't say NFT if you don't have to, because they will distance yourself.
Let's literally start from scratch. No industry.
No industry. Yeah.
White paper.
And give them something that they can't get somewhere else. That's it. And what we do also with movie shots is integrate the NFT in as many other worlds as possible, so that they see this object, this digital object, can do something that they are not used in the Web 2 world, where digital objects are trapped in their ecosystem. So I think that's something that's also cool and new for people.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's a no-brainer, right? We're turning video game skins into NFTs, digital collectibles, whatever you want to do it. I have 2 friends in the room right now that have spent more money on Valorant skins than they probably even want me to admit, looking at you, Benny and Raj. And so,
Who is speaking faster here?
you know, I think it's beyond inevitable for us to start using stuff like that, right? Whether we call them NFTs, digital collectibles, skins, avatars, whatever you want to call them, it really doesn't matter. As long as they're on the blockchain, you can sell them and get your value back out of your asset, instead of, you know, your skin being stuck in the Call of Duty marketplace forever without any ability to get your money back.
That's true. And Matt, please add something.
Okay, well, look. I mean, here's one thing that I think is really important to think about, is that, like, technology has always pushed storytelling forward, right? So from the Gutenberg printing press, allowing for newspapers, allowing for books, allowing for the written word to go proliferate knowledge around the world, to digital, which forced many of the print publications from a media side into starting websites. The ones who were early to make those changes were the ones that succeeded. I was at Billboard for many years. One of the reasons why Billboard is still relevant is that they were early to digital. Then mobile was the next wave, right? And so all the publications had to start optimizing for mobile and doing that. Tokenized media is the next thing. And it's so clear to me. And one of the things that's important to understand is that all of this innovation and that drove things forward didn't come from within the media space. It's always been an external factor that's come in, and media legacy publishers have had to adapt. This is no different. And that's why we're leading the charge with it. That's why we are extending the welcoming hand to legacy publishers. After we announced the Now Pass in NFT Paris, we had so many publications I really respect reach out to us, interested in what we were doing. I didn't think it was going to happen that quickly. Like, I thought we'd have to, do all the case studies, all that. But there was a lot of interest, because I think people understand that the media model itself is broken. And the fix to that isn't going to come from within the media space itself. It's going to come from an external technology, and it's very clear to me what that external technology is. And I think it's the reason we're all here today, because we all recognize the power of blockchain technology to empower NFTs, to bring crypto and culture together, and to empower and create better models to incentivize reward and incentivize participation, which I think is really critical. That is a big part of what we're doing as well, is actually giving people a stake in what we're doing. What you talked about turning fans to shareholders is very much what we're thinking about. And so I think that's as we carry that forward, it's going to look so obvious in hindsight.
That's very true. And you literally caught me on my last question because you spoke about privacy at the very beginning, and as media companies and organizations exploring Web3 space and NFTs and all the possibilities, what are the legal, ethical, and regulatory considerations that need to be addressed, and how can we ensure that these technologies are used responsibly, securely, and inclusively for the future of media? So, Rembrandt?
I have nothing to say in that category. I don't know what to say.
Well, it's more a philosophical, rhetorical question, right? So while you're thinking, maybe, Matt, you have something to add.
Well, I will just say that we believe privacy is a fundamental human right, and we believe in the power of consent. And so much of what happened with ad tech and the proliferation of programmatic advertisements in media led to these like verbose and vague like terms and conditions where you sign away everything when you just to access a page. Most people don't read them, right? Like, and we don't think that's the right way. That's the Web 2 way. We want to leave that in Web 2. So that's why we're really straightforward. Like, if you go to NFTnow.com, we don't track you. Does that hurt sometimes with our marketing campaigns? Yeah, but ultimately, like, principles matter. And we got into the space to build a better media model, to do things differently. And so if that means like it's a little bit less optimized to safeguard something as important as privacy, like we will make that trade every time.
Well, actually, shift is much more painful than we expected because it's like literally a digital revolution. Charlie, what do you think about that?
I mean, with the ethical stuff, I could not be more in sync with Matt if it was all possible. Like, protect my privacy at all costs. And as a joke, I always say privacy is an illusion, but like, if you can protect it as well as you can, like, you got my money. And so, as far as the regulation comes, like, bring it all. Like, if the oil princes want to bury hundreds of millions of dollars a day in profit, you know what they can't do it in? Crypto and NFTs, because there's no regulation. So if you want the kind of money to come into this market that we all want for the next bull run to make all of our bags go to $1 million, right? Like, you have to get extra money flowing in from somewhere. And the only way that happens is if you get people who are making so much money that they literally just have to bury it places, and they have to keep doing that in a regulatory refined way, because that is the only way they can do it and keep running their businesses and stay out of trouble. I want the SEC to come in. I want the regulations to come in. I want the IRS to get their nose all up in our taxes. I want all of the regulation to happen. What are we fucking scared of for regulation? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I see so many people staying doxxed, and there are personal reasons for that, but from like a legal, ethical, regulatory process standpoint, it makes no sense to me, right? Like, nobody's out there buying like a Honus Wagner baseball card and hiding their identity, unless they are, in which case, because they want to, right? Like, let everybody with all the money come in and shout from the rooftops that they're spending it on NFTs and crypto.
That's really great statement. I can just make an applause for you. Lightning.
I also agree privacy is important. I think it's also a big challenge because in the NFT collectible space, there's basically no privacy, and if people use different wallets for the NFTs, they just make it worse and connect their identity to those. So I think this can be or should be improved. And from the legal side, that's one of the biggest challenges we deal with movie shots, because the film industry doesn't work that way, that those rights are bundled in one place. They are fractionalized, and we are happy that this changes now also because of us. So the films that are shot right now, they take this into consideration in the contracts they're doing now. But there's still a lot of work to do from a legal side to make this with less friction.
That's true. I think that media industry and especially blockchain industry still has a lot of dragons to fight. But as soon as we have such supportive crowd and strong community believers, dreamers and developers and such impressive speakers, we are good to go, right? So thank you guys, thank you for your time, and my duty as MC is also over for today. If you have any questions, please. Oh my God, happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Do you know that you have a birthday? Because you are also surprised. Like, do you know that you have a birthday? So
I was surprised. Thank you for remembering, because I forgot it was my birthday. Thank you to Adam.
Coachella already starts, right?
Yes.
So please.
I wanted to ask Matt. So with the Now Pass, obviously that's a higher price point, and when we think about traditional media, they are moving into that monthly, low cost subscription. What do they think about that when they come to talk about you and about this new model? And how do you think about the future of opening to
really, really great question, and I know we don't have a ton of time, so I'm just going to give you like a quick answer. So one of the things that's really important is that, like, in pioneering a community-centric media model, we wanted to start small and make sure that it was a manageable size that we could actually super serve. We didn't want it to be diluted with tens of thousands of members, because then it becomes more about like speaking to it than actually doing it, right? Because we want to be able to make a difference in everyone's lives. It's a 2750 supply for the Genesis Now Pass, and that is I think a really great number, because it's enough that like we know our community members, but it's big enough that it's also like it provides an amazing case study as well. And so I think that like for us it was about doing a more manageable size to begin with the Genesis Now Pass. Do we see opportunities down the future once we've built out the Now network more to expand that potentially with a V2 or things like that? Certainly, of course, and we'll always take care, of course, of the Genesis Now Pass holders. Like everything will always drive back there. But I can talk more about it after. But we definitely see it as being scalable, and we also see it as providing a blueprint for other publishers to do what makes sense for their own communities based on their consumer and creative priorities, which aren't always all the same.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.